Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Welcome, everyone. I am Noura Siddiqui, employee from Dubai Future Foundation and specifically part of Area 2071 team. So I'm glad to have you all here, whether you're attending virtually or physically. I won't be taking too long. I'll be passing the mic to Faisal Al-Hawi, the head of incubators, accelerators in Area 2071.
Good morning, wow, that was loud. Good morning, everyone. So happy for the turnout. And it's great to have these kind of like physical meetings back. I hope that you guys feel the same as well. Welcome to Area 2071. My name is Faisal Hawi. I work with the team to kind of like make the experience of Area 2071 as pleasant as possible, everyone involved, basically. Today's gathering kind of like follows what a report that we recently published, which is basically to shed light on our experience and journey over the past 4 years. So Area 2071 was established a few years back with the clear vision of kind of like attracting the best minds from around the world to kind of co-design and explore the future and possibilities. And that's what we've been trying to do all along. Through different initiatives, through different programs, different interactions, whether they are in the space, whether they're with our colleagues and partners at the government and private sector, but more importantly, with the talents, with university students and researchers, with startup founders from around the world. And we've been learning so much, and the learning journey has been quite steep and significant to understand exactly, what are the pain points. How could Area 2071 position itself? How can we continuously challenge ourselves with new programs and formats to make it better and more efficient and serving the wider audience? And I don't want to go through the details from my side, because the intention of this gathering was to hear directly from the people who are involved in Area 2071. And I really promise that this is not a script. Nothing has been agreed on, and something is just like pointers of what we like to discuss. But then you'll hear directly from startup founders, government entities, from private sector leaders on, just to give you a sense of what's possible in Area 2071. The bigger invitation is, of course, for everyone to be part of Area 27. We love working with talented individuals and teams to create a better future. That's essentially what we like to do. Just to give you an overall kind of like overview of what happens in Area 20, those who might not be as aware, we run a lot of innovation programs. So, and it might be a catchy and buzzword phrase, but by that we mean like the Dubai Future Accelerator programs, the incubators, we have the Dubai Future Labs, and we also have ad hoc innovation programs that are custom designed with our partners as well. A lot of these are intended to test out new technologies. So bringing that technologies from anywhere around the globe and giving it a test bed here in Dubai Future Foundation to experiment with. We have a lot of events and sessions, and I'll share a couple of numbers in a few slides, but a lot of this networking, creating a community of like-minded individuals with the same interest, with the same ambition, with the same vision, to kind of like give them this to really interact and connect the dots, basically. And finally, as a perk, extra thing, the co-working space that you are all part of, we believe helps kind of like to stimulate creativity and allow these shoulder rubbing techniques and getting and bumping into people to have these different kind of conversations to really take things forward. So that's kind of like what happens in Area 2071. In the next two slides, there are a lot of numbers, which it's not really my favorite, but just to give you a sense of what we've been doing over the last 4 years, more than 290 startups have been involved, a lot of them coming from different parts of the world, around, I guess, 40 countries, more than 40 countries. More than 45 startups have been set up, whether in the UAE, in Area 2071, or the larger ecosystem. A lot of these come, again, from different sectors on. Our partners, be it government or private, we've explored more than 120 challenges. And by challenge, I mean like a problem statement, a solution, an area of focus we want to explore and to understand how technology could help us evolve. Now, on a bigger scale, like on the wider economy, all of these interactions, all of these stuff, they are really the stars of the show. And the impact on the economy, creating more than 600 jobs in the wider economy, is really something that kind of like seeds in Area 2071, but quickly scales out to the wider ecosystem of Dubai, the UAE. And another number that I would like to share or shed light on is that the number of pilots that we've been running, close to 90 pilots. And this is essentially what the entire Dubai Future Foundation is all about, creating a test bed for Dubai to experiment with these ideas and pilots. And we stress on the word pilots because this is how we do it. We do it in an experiment fashion, we try out new technologies and so on. When it comes to numbers in terms of contractual agreements and you know the partnerships that happen between private and government sector along with these startups, the collective value is more than $125 million dirhams in terms of contract values with these government entities and private sector. These startups have signed a lot of agreements and memorandum of understandings to take these to a larger scale projects down the line. This is my favorite slide, and I hope we get to a point where we can't really fit them all in one slide, but these are our stars. These are like our favorite constituent, if you may, of Area 2071. The people who really push the boundaries, the people who really, you know, take things forward and really make this what it is. So all of these startups, and I'm confidently sure that this slide will grow larger and larger as we go along. Again, because it's all about networking and events, these are numbers about the events and activation sessions that we've been doing throughout the years. Even when we switched to virtual, we did not stop. We did not take a pause or a break, but we switched everything to virtual. Even this gathering itself is kind of like broadcasted to a virtual attendee. But the idea is always to keep these flowing, to create a wider ecosystem, to create a wider community, because you never know where innovation comes from, or you never know when you will bump into your technical co-founder or your next CTO or your next, you know, project manager that will work with you in taking your idea forward. Last but not least, I'd love to end this as well. Really what we're looking for is people who are ambitious enough to co-design the future, to ask the right questions. So if you're a government or a private sector entity, we'd love to work with you. We design a lot of custom tailored programs that fit your needs. We don't have a template of programs run across. We've done programs that range from hackathons, 2-day events, all the way to 12 weeks. So that kind of like flexibility is what we really strive for. And if you're a talented individual or a startup, we'd love to work with you in different sectors, by the way, by any way that we can support you in taking your idea forward. So please reach out to us and we'd love to engage with you and understand how we can support to take this forward. But enough from my side. I hope I didn't take too long. I'd love to hand it over to our partners and colleagues, and perhaps we can start with, you know, our private and government partner sectors. Tawaddud from DIWA, who's been working with us, I believe, even more than I've been here, for 8 cohorts now as DIWA, and Puneet from PNG, who would really take you through the journey of how PNG really worked with Area 2071. So we'd love to hear from you.
Thank you, Faisal. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah wa barakatuh. Hello, everyone. I'm Tawaddud Rashid Lamtawa, Senior Executive at Dubai Electricity and Water Authority, DIWA. I'm privileged to be here with you today to take you through DIWA's journey with the Dubai Future Accelerators program, which under the umbrella of Area 2071. DIWA has become one of the world's largest innovative utilities worldwide. It aims to redefine the concept of utilities to cope with the latest trends that are emerging. Our partner that has started back in 2016 has played an important role in achieving DIWA's strategic goals. We are committed to support and encourage startups to develop an innovative solutions to the current and future challenges to all DIWA's work. our participation with the Dubai Future Accelerators program is our strategy to support and encourage innovation, research and development, and entrepreneurship to achieve quick and tangible results to improve government services through leading and innovative approaches. In a nutshell, we have participated with the Dubai Future Accelerators program, as Faisal mentioned, in 8 cycles, have signed 16 agreements. Some of them are completed and some of them are still ongoing. Of course, to achieve that, we collaborate and meet with different divisions in DIWA to come up with different challenges for each cycle. And when choosing a startup, DIWA focuses on 3 main pillars: solving a challenge, enhancing an operation, and introducing a new business stream. Area 2071 helps facilitate the collaboration with innovative startups worldwide, providing disruptive solutions to solve DIWA's challenges through DFA program, creating the future of energy and water. The DFA family is remarkably facilitating the collaboration between startups and utilities. For example, meeting the startups in person, getting to know more about the solutions, their products, as well as providing the partners a private workspace where we can work in it privately. The environment is really friendly and supportive. As well as the DFA is a place government entities and startups work together to come up with achievements and success stories together. For example, DIWA have collaborated with startups that has to do with different disruptive technologies that has to do with quantum computing, AI, blockchain, and this resulted in success stories and different rollout, a lot of rollout projects in the field of solar, water, digital services, customer happiness, etc. By embedding innovation in all DIWA's, the operations and services that DIWA is providing for its customers. And of course, we would like to take this opportunity to thank the DFA team for being a pivotal hub of innovation. DIWA is working to contribute to achieving our leadership's vision to make Dubai the smartest, the happiest, and the 10 years ahead of leading global cities. 10x the future is actually one of DIWA's strategic ambitions and really keeps us focused on finding enduring and disruptive solutions by investing in innovation in the 3Ds of digitization, diversification of the energy mix, and demand side management. Dubai has become a destination for the biggest technology organizations around the world. The Dubai Future Accelerators program, which is overseen by the Dubai Future Foundation, is a unique opportunity for startups to demonstrate their capabilities in developing innovative solutions to solve global challenges in different. Thank you.
Thank you, Tawaddud. And I really want to keep this interactive. So does anyone have any questions so far related, perhaps addressed to DIWA and Tawaddud or their experience? Please feel free to jump in at any time. So I want to make this as interactive as we can. If not, we can meet. Can you take us through the journey of PNG and how it was?
I'd love to. So good morning, everyone. I'm Puneet Kaushik. I'm the Senior Director Sales for PNG for Global Digital Disruption, as well as I lead the sales for feminine care for our region. Now, our journey with Area 2071, right? Dubai is our headquarters for our Asia Pacific, Middle East Asia, and Africa. So it's 110 countries spanning multiple categories, almost close to $12–13 billion of business for us. So we are privileged to be based in Dubai for that. And our Area 2071 journey has been from day one of Area 2071. So we were, when we heard about the project, we applied for it as PNG, and we were really privileged to be selected as the retail and FMCG partner in Area 2071. So as you would have seen the space, a lot of the partners have labs. We have also our lab in the space. We actually are on the 12th floor of Emirates Towers. If any of you wants to have a tour, just catch me. I will be happy to host you. So we were, as I said, we have been here from day one. And what we actually did in this space was we have 6, let's call it go-to-market labs around the world, in Cincinnati, in Mexico, in Geneva, in Guangzhou, etc. We opened the lab for our region here because this space gave us the perfect opportunity. What do we do in our labs? For Procter & Gamble, the shopper is at the heart of everything we do. And what we try and do is bring that understanding to our partners. And who are our partners? There are retailers like, for example, from this part of the world, retailers like Carrefour, Lulu, Union Corp, Upcorp, etc. And then there are also our distributor partners, etc. So for us, this was the perfect place because we could bring them and expose them not just to what we have been talking them about for hundreds of years. P&G is 180-year-old plus company, but also what others in the ecosystem are. So in terms of area has contributed to Procter & Gamble, and we have been now here for more than 3 years, and we definitely will continue to be here, is the exposure to our partners. And when they visit this place, it makes our convincing them much easier because they realize that they themselves tell us that this feels like Silicon Valley of Dubai. That's what a couple of them have told me. So anyways, especially when they see the youth hub and the startups and all of that. But the biggest value for Area 2071 to us, that's my second point, has been the whole startup ecosystem. So we just did our workshop Monday, the third challenge, which we are now going to float from the system. So our first was one on finance and microcredit. We were able to, through the entire journey, working with Gayat and his team, I can see him standing there. We were able to first go from hundreds of startups to 60s, then interview, and finally, projects are underway with 4 of them in different parts. And that's what I also love about area. So there is one in UAE and Oman, but there is one in Malaysia, one in Bangladesh, one in Egypt. So it's that is amazing. And finally, I think how now what I'm also starting to realize, and it's also, I think P&G being late to the party, that there are other entities in this space where we could do a lot more. So you have the Center for the Fourth Industrial Revolution, you have the Robotics Lab, etc., as part of the space, which we didn't do much. And we are starting to engage. So I think that's for the future. But I think that's great for us. What will we do in the future? I think we'll continue to do heavy engagement in the startup ecosystem. We will continue to get our partners, our retailers, distributors, other industry partners exposed to what all is there. And what can we do better? What can we do more? Or what do I really look forward to in the future? I really look forward to of the future. Okay, I think it's coming up. From where we are on the 12th floor, we have seen it get constructed from the first day. So we are very happy to see it come alive in front of our eyes, and we are really looking forward to that and how that all integrates in the space. Areas where we would love to partner with other partners. Sustainability is very, very important for us, and I think that's one area we are even happy to float another challenge about, which is what can FMCG companies in partnerships with government and like-minded industry partners do. Let's start from Dubai and we can take it outside. Another area is citizenship. What can we do around that? Particularly because you mentioned education, right? Can we, because we have experts on every field on manufacturing and selling and marketing, right? Could we give back to the universities, to the colleges of this great country? So yeah, that's what we definitely want to do in the future. And we are going to be here. So thank you. Thanks for the opportunity.
It's a pleasure, Praneeth. Thank you very much for sharing also your experience. But then one point that I'd like to maybe reiterate of what Praneeth said is that it really starts off with something, might be very specific, but then the moment we realize that, there is a bigger network around us, then these kind of like opportunities surface up, that P&G have been doing with Ghaith on really tackling problems out there in even emerging markets or developing markets and so on, but then moving all the way to robotics and supply chains and so on. So it always starts with something as a small experiment, but then the moment you ask the better questions and wider questions, this is where things start to get more and more interesting. So it's a pleasure to have P&G, DIWA, as well as all the other government and private sector partners. And we'd love to grow our list as well, year on, year out. Now I'll move over to the startups. So we have 4 of the top most interesting startups in Area 2071 with amazing journeys. I'd leave it for you to select who wants to go first. I don't want to dictate anything. So please, would you like to start?
Hi. So, sorry, it's just an introduction. I might just do an introduction now. Yeah. So, well, my name is Ignacio. I'm the managing director for Wino for Middle East and Africa. We're a core to startup, and we use artificial intelligence to reduce food waste in commercial kitchens. We started about 7 years ago, and we started in DFA almost 5 years ago, 4 years ago. And it's been a really long and exciting journey. I'm not sure, sorry, because I saw a few questions. Do you want me to go all in? Okay, perfect. So, well, it's interesting. When we came to DFA, we were about 15 people in the company back then. We are around 140. We were live in just a handful of countries, and we're now 40 countries worldwide. We have around 1,600 clients, and we closed a Series B just last year with 20 million. So our journey with DFA was very exciting. We consider Dubai kind of our second home. We're a British company. We're headquartered in London, but Dubai is kind of, yeah, it's where we have our second headquarters, let's say. We have offices in Singapore, Shanghai. We have an office in Chicago, and we have a couple of satellite offices in Australia and Thailand, as well as a development office in Romania. Our journey was really exciting. We were partnered first with Dubai Holdings, and I think we're one of the only cases that actually changed partners during the journey. We moved from Dubai Holdings to Dubai Municipality, and we ended up signing MOUs with both, which was really exciting for us. And it's a journey that we're still working on. So I think the MOU hasn't still realized to the level that we wanted, but it's happening. For us, it was really DFA kind of mark a before and after in our company, because it actually put us on the map for many different investors, for many different companies. It was great to be located here. It's all about location as well. It's not just everything that the program offers, but also the fact that you are located where you are located. And we were really lucky. We closed some of our largest deals with people that were just passing by. It's really interesting, but we had the head of hospitality of mine was one of the persons that was just passing by when we were here, and we had like a little demo of our system, and he stopped by and said, "Hey, what's this?" And you know, it was one of our first partners. We launched our AI technology with DFA and the Minister of AI. We partnered with MR to create our product, and all that from the work and the relationships and everything that we did through the. So for us, our journey was really, really, really close to the work that's been done here. And it's, again, I just want to reflect to what I said at the beginning. We were just a handful of people when we came, and the company has grown exponentially. And we owe to the Middle East for that. I don't want to say growth, because it's quite of, but it is actually growth in a way, not just company growth, but also So not material growth as commercial growth, which as well, but also growth as maturing, you know, like maturing the startup in a way. For me, that was the biggest impact. We realized that we could grow in different regions, like kind of duplicating the what we did here in a way. It has a big impact on a company from a peer perspective, because it really put us on the map. We did a lot of collaborations with government, we still do. So I would say growth, but not just on the commercial part of it, but growth in general and the holistic part, if you wish. Thank you.
Hi, good morning. My name is Patrick Maloney. I'm the CEO and founder of P4ML, an Irish medicine company. And our journey here has been fantastic. My first time in Dubai was back in January 2018. We were with Enterprise Ireland on Arab Health, and a lot of credit has to go to the fantastic teams in the Dubai Future Accelerators that correctly identify the correct companies to bring on this program. So we met the Dubai Health Authority at Arab Health. They explained that they were addressing a challenge to accelerate diagnostics, specifically around pregnancy and newborn screening, and to identify rare diseases much earlier. And they asked P4ML, would we apply for the program? It was very competitive. It's not what we expected. We had 5 really good interviews with the Dubai Health Authority, with the right doctors. And you know, when we got accepted onto the program, it was very timely for us as an Irish company, because in Western Europe, we had the impact of Brexit, and a lot of Irish companies would traditionally migrate into the United Kingdom as our next market. So our board decided that when we got selected to come over here in September 2018, it's great immersed in an ecosystem with other CEOs that are either raising money, that are trying to scale into different markets, and really the support of the locals here to our business was, you know, I'm just ever so grateful for the help that the Dubai Health Authority gave us. It's not a traditional accelerator, you know, handheld. You're given the right government entities or the right connections from, in our case, the Health Authority. So we worked very closely with Dubai, Latifa and Rashid Hospital, with the correct obstetrician and gynecologists, with the right insurance personnel. And we were literally within the first week brought out to the decision makers in the Dubai Health Authority to understand what we could do in terms of pregnancy and newborn screening. And I've stayed in the region. I'm here now close to 3 years. Last year, although COVID had happened, I decided to come out here. We got our ethics approval after, we signed our MOU in December 2018. It took about a year to work on the ethics approval, which is traditional in healthcare. It's very slow. And last year we were able to come out and we ran a proof of concept on 20 high-risk pregnancies. We delivered our results back in 4 days, where traditionally it took up to 30 days, where hospitals were sending blood tests to Germany and China. We were able to pick up some chromosome disorders that weren't picked up on the Roche test. And we're very happy to say that we're still heavily engaged with the Dubai Health Authority. We're looking to headquarter over here and set up a laboratory to service the DHA. And from that, we have another contract that we're fulfilling up in Oman. We've been approached by NEOM in Saudi to headquarter up there. So it was a really good ecosystem and a great landing point for definitely companies in Western Europe, because for us, the US is the next market, or else the UK. So it's a really good location. It's within 8 hours of Ireland, and 2/3 of the world's population is here. Area 2071, you know, in an ecosystem again, where we're in a very safe environment. I think everybody here is vaccinated. You know, so to be able to come into an office space where you feel safe, you've got the best amenities in terms of meeting rooms, you're surrounded with really good entrepreneurs and really good business, because the selection criteria here is really vigorous. And, you know, Dubai have brought in the best startup companies here. It's a really good hub globally to pilot your technology. We've migrated on from the Dubai Future Accelerator. We got accepted in Mohammed bin Rashid Innovation Program, which is backed by the Ministry of Finance. And that's really looking at the MENA market now because we have huge plans. And again, one of the most grateful things I am from the Area 2071 is the support to give us a golden visa to keep us in the region in the midst of COVID, because coming in on a 30-day tourist visa is really hard to do business. And the government listened to our needs and were able to give me personally a golden visa. So for that, I'm ever so grateful to the Dubai Future Foundation and the Dubai Future Accelerator.
Hello, assalamu alaikum. My name is Saria and I am part of the Toothpick team. And first of all, I would like to say we are proud to be in 21 and to be as well part of this community. To just focus directly on the journey of 2071, it's a typical startup journey, you can say. So establishing a company during the most complicated time last year in 2020, having the support from the team, from DED approaches to DED to establishing the firm for calls, mails. So as a startup where you don't know how to publish it, what steps you have to do, it was great to see that you have someone in your back supporting this. Then starting the space here, it was great to see how, same as you said, what we see are startups and communities and great entrepreneurs where we can connect with, where we can speak to, where we can share our experiences, which is very important for a startup in the beginning, because you have your thoughts and you have vision, but collecting those visions or collecting those brains is the most important thing, and which is something which we can do here. Further, the introductions of the team from the FF. So in a bit I will speak about Toothpick, what we do and why it's called Toothpick as such. But the governmental introduction which we have done through the FF through 2071, it was great. So to have them of you guys here and to say, okay, they are supported from 2071, to have those door let's say openers to the banking system we would require. It was great to see to have a support function here. Plus it's a community, it's a family, it's nice to have here. So we chat a lot, the guys here, there. So it's a nice thing that we can go in, share our thoughts, share our day. It's more a hub, it's more a community, it's more a family, which is important as well now as a startup. So plus to have the, let's say, the place inside those, so in the middle of Dubai, to be in the IFC. It's a nice place with a space of the meeting rooms, having partners coming across from Europe, explaining them what we are doing here and why we are here. It's nice flag to put on the startup which we do. So what do? We are the dental place, the hub, which we started 2 years ago. And we are expanding now, or we have expanded last year to UAE, then to Qatar, then to Qatar, UAE, Cairo, and so we are the dental system which are connecting all the needs of the supplies of the dental. So we can be called the hub where the supply chain is going to be done, where we do with the team here the connection between suppliers B2B, the needs of the dentist. The further vision with Toothpick is that we would like to have the hub, the global, let's say the global hub of the startup here in Dubai. We are going to expand next year to Saudi and inshallah to Europe as well. And from the B2B system, which we would like to connect, or what we are doing now, operational wise in 4 countries, to connect dentists and suppliers. We would like to as well connect the suppliers and the brands. So plus to have a branch of connecting the dentist to the user, so from B2B to B2C, and then in the next phase to connect this so inside coin and the whole system of the blockchain. So that's the vision, and that's why I guess we have heard from you in the vision to be a successful startup, and during the review to be called as a niche and unique project globally, which is good to hear for sure. And that's about Toothpick. Thank you again for the support. Thank you to be part of this hub. And yeah, that's it from my side.
Thank you so much, Faisal. My name is Abdul Mateen. I'm the Executive Director of Project TU. And I guess our story is quite a bit unique within Air 2071. So I actually came to Air 2071 in 2016 as a university student. I was, I guess, my 3rd year of university. And that was the first year of DFA Cohort 1. So they used to have something called Tuesday Talks, where the startups would showcase what their updates have been for that week every Tuesday, 5-10 minutes each in this very hall. And I saw an ad probably on Instagram or Facebook or the website, and I had come. That was, for me as a young person, a much wider perspective of the world. You don't normally get a job in a big company. You can go out in a different route where you're creating new products, new services that add value to the ecosystem of not only Dubai, but of the world at large. So that was very inspiring. And then I remember I used to come probably once in a couple of months. Downstairs, Air 2071 is boarded up, and it was written over there, creating the next 50 years of UAE 2021. And I was like, I remember walking past that, I guess in 2017, and saying, wow, it would be a really cool place to work over here. And that time I was still in university. Just before I graduated, we won a grant from the World Expo on building a system where you bridge the gap between schools and the real world. What we realized was there's a massive problem of youth unemployment. And one of the core reasons for that is, on one side, we as young people graduating don't have the right skills that employers value. And on the other side, we also have students going and studying degrees that don't actually make sense in the real world. So our value proposition was, what if you had a parallel education system that fills the gap that the current education system doesn't fill? Everyone wants to change education, and everyone wants to play in ed tech. So we kind of said, what if we just added a framework where schools could bridge the gap between what employers want and what actually they're teaching in students. That time we used to just sit in Youth Hub and work. It was a very small team, 5 or 6 people. I think about 6 months later in 2019, once we started piloting and we got a much bigger grant, and Ministry of Education got involved, and we started making revenue. We were accepted to be part of Air 2071. And so far until now, fast forward 2 years in 2021, we're right now in about 15 different schools. 3,000 plus students have been part of our programs. We continue to be part of our programs. And one last thing about, they had a statistic, better jobs have been created. a personal source of pride for me. It was about 5 to 10% of that have been because of us at Project U. And I guess here's to many more from all of us on creating thousands of more jobs over here through Air 2071. And I think that was how powerful Air 2071 is. It not only is an ecosystem that you see here today, but it is a source of inspiration, not just for young people, but for everyone in the sense of what is possible. You don't necessarily have to go through what it says is the way for you to make an impact in your life. And one of the most important things that I feel is that our work over here is very fulfilling. I owe everything to this space. I met my co-founder next to that pillar right there in 2018 during a startup weekend session that they hosted, right? So do you see every social event, every networking event is so powerful in bringing that startup journey, that enterprise journey together. And that's what building an ecosystem means. And have had the privilege to visit many other ecosystems, but nothing feels the same way as Air 2071. I just can't describe it. It's a unique, special quality. I can't believe it's just 3-4 years old. I can't wait to see where it's gonna go over the next 10, 20, 30, 50 years. So again, thank you so much for this opportunity. And it's been a long time coming.
Thank you very much, Abdul Mateen. It's so refreshing, honestly, to hear, a very wide variety of journeys from growth to like personal endeavors, like turning passion into something that you work on a daily basis, into kind of like venturing into domains as well as healthcare as well, which is really couldn't be timelier, really understanding and figure out these problems. And I'm pretty sure that there are other stories that we might not be able to cover today, but this space is your space. So by bump in, we'd be more than happy to connect you with any of our resident startups, alumni, again, in the essence of sparking these collaborations, because the essence of Area 2071 and everything that we do is really passion. That's why we try as much as possible to bring all the entities from government, private sector, talent, academia, to work towards a shared goal. So it's so lovely to hear these stories, and I guarantee you that there are many more similar stories in Area 2071, whether it's like from startups or even individuals. So please feel free to go through those. There is the report we just recently launched is a great way this would work. Cherry, can you help me skip the next slide? It's frozen. So maybe we're not the best in tech, but we can do other things good. So the report that we just downloaded is, published, is a great way to view more stories of those. It really covers the entire journey from inception all the way to cohort 7 and 8, and all the success stories there. You can just scan the QR and download. I'd really love to open it up for Q&A. Anyone who has any questions. I know we have a couple of questions from the virtual attendees, so I can go through those. No one from the audience has any questions. Anyone?
Thank you very much, actually, for sharing the stories. It's definitely inspiring. And just I have a question regarding like the reaching out to Area 2071. I know you have cohorts where you host startups, but beyond the selected startups, what sort of other integrations with maybe other founders, startups, ecosystems? Is it through the events, or there's something else that actually bridge that connection?
If you are a startup that's with one of our challenges through the DFA, you go through the application process, and there's a selection process and evaluation to see the best fit startup. But a lot of our startups, which we call the area residents, are just people who decided to co-locate here in Area 2071. So if that's something that interests you, or if that's something that you believe will add value to you and your startup, we're more than happy to go through that process, which normally is like any typical process in terms of like, pitching and understanding if there's mutual value that's added. We are very selective when it comes to the startups that are part of our resident program, but that's for a reason, because we really strive to bring in the startups that we believe we can add value to. So startups that we don't necessarily have, the best networks or the best experts in place, typically refer them to other partners. Like, for example, while we do have some startups in the fintech domain, we always try to connect them with DIFC Fintech Hive, because they are our partner at the district and so on. So we try to find basically the best route for you. So please get in touch with us, and we'd love to understand more of how we can support, and we can take it from there. Thank you.
Thank you all. I would like to thank the speakers first for sharing their successful journey. I would like to ask you, Mr. Abdul Azim, for your, what was the main challenges that you faced, you as a student, to develop your project?
So whenever someone asks me this question, I always, when you study KG1, ABCD is very difficult, right? But KG2, ABCD is very easy, right? So with every stage of your journey, especially as a student who doesn't have experience of what the real world is like, there are new sets of obstacles which look like a mountain to climb back then, but now it's like, oh, it's so easy. So in terms of biggest challenge, looking back now, it looks all small, but at that time, I'm pretty sure it was mentally and physically challenging. But I think one of the biggest leaps that I had to overcome was of how do you manage people, right? I never had I interned with a lot of places, but I never had a job for Project U. So to manage a team, sometimes double or triple your age, okay, not triple, but double your age, of experts, of coordinators, of education facilitators and teachers. Managing that team was one of my biggest learning experiences. But the way how I realized that you can solve that is by learning processes and methods. Everything is solved if you understand the way you do it. From HR to management to setting how people work. And now the biggest thing that people are trying to figure out is how do you figure out hybrid work systems, right? While those challenges might seem big, the way how you address them is to understand the process. And the brilliant thing about us is because we have an ecosystem, we constantly refer to each other. A lot of our problems have been solved by asking other startups, by asking folks like Faisal and the team, and brainstorming ideas off of them. That's how, I guess, but for me personally, managing a team of paid professionals was the biggest learning curve. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Any questions from the audience? If not, I'd love to take a couple from the virtual attendees as well. So one question is about how is Area 2071 different from other co-working spaces? To be honest, we don't really sell ourselves as a co-working space. We're more than that. I mean, the co-working space is a perk that you can get if you are part of Area 2071. But we're really about the network. We're really about being able to connect you with the decision makers from government and private sector entities, being able to give you the test bed, whether it's like from mutual connections or whether through programs like the Regulations Lab, for example, trying to test these technologies out and so on. So that is really the value proposition that we offer. The co-working space is slowly becoming a commodity out there. Everyone can offer that. So that's not kind of like the field that we might be a bit smaller than most of the co-working spaces out there because that's not kind of like the niche that we play in. That's why we're very selective with startups, because we select the ones that we believe can connect with our partners and create impact through that. So that's in that domain. There are a lot of questions about specific sectors, startups, like there is clean tech, there is remote collaboration through AR and VR, as well as education. So again, the point goes back to our network. So when it comes to, for example, remote collaboration through AR and VR, our Minister of AI, Digital Economy, remote work applications is also co-located with us. So these introductions to their offices to explore opportunities and so on is something that we are very good at. So being part of Area 2071 would kind of facilitate that, clean tech and the likes as well. The last question that I am particularly interested in says that we are a female-focused accelerator. It would be lovely to understand what the Dubai Future Foundation has in plans to provide fair access for funding female-led startups. That's actually a very good question, and in fact, are actively working on that. I can say that we are not where we want to be when it comes to the diversity of our founders or startups that are led by female founders. We are at a lower percentage than what we like to be, but we are actively working towards that. So if you are a female-led accelerator, please do get in touch with us. These are programs that we are more than happy to collaborate with. We're more than happy to create a launchpad, a network, a community for female-led startups to kind of like not only help them grow and inspire, but also inspire others to take that route. This is something that we are actively looking, so please reach out to us and we'd be more than happy to explore possibilities with you. These are all more If there are no further questions, I don't want to.
Faisal, I have a question from one of the attendees online. So the question is, Wadid and Puneet, please elaborate some examples of real success stories by individuals who just started their entrepreneurship at Area 2071, or do work only with established startups?
So thank you for your question. As I mentioned, we have really success stories and rollout projects in the field of solar, in the field of digital services and customer happiness. And I mean, DEWA welcomes everyone, like not only established, well-established startups. Like, for example, we give opportunities for everyone to be part, to collaborate with DEWA, to be part of any initiative or projects. Yes.
If I could add to that, Tawaddud, is that we definitely welcome talented individuals. So you don't have to be a startup. We actually have a database of experts and that you're more than welcome to be part of. And this kind of like opens up opportunities for you to be involved in different sessions as we go through. The example that Puneet, for example, mentioned, the workshops that we normally do with our partners, we normally invite in the field to be part of these discussions because we understand that expertise come from different verticals, from different domains. We don't claim to be experts in all of these fields. So we tap into that or network that we create. So if you are interested in a particular field, you're more than welcome to, again, on board with us, be part of that network. And whenever an opportunity comes along, we'll make sure to reach out to you. Or if you have, even think that there is an opportunity that you would like to pursue and you would support in exploring it, we're more than happy to also check that with you. Any more questions?
First, thank you all. And second thing, sorry. Second thing, I'm sorry if I will ask any question that you already talked about because I missed the introduction. First, I want to ask you a question, Mr. Faisal. As I was exploring the websites for Dubai Future Foundation and 2071, I want to know the main differences between the two, the يعني Dubai Future Foundation and 2071, as I saw that there should be a solution or sorry, a challenge that we have to solve when we will apply to the accelerators, and also if we will apply to 2071, should we be a registered company or just a brilliant idea and we will start together? And I want to know also if we will apply to 2071, how long it takes to accept and start the process to be a resident in 2071. And I want, can I ask two questions? Another one. My last question for Mr. Maloney, right, your name, Mr. Maloney. I think you were talking about the selection criteria, and it was amazing selection criteria here in 2071. So I want to know from your point of view how we can increase our opportunity and how we can how we can increase our opportunities to be selected and what is the things that we should put in our minds and take in consideration while we are applying to 2071. And thank you so much.
Thanks for the question. So just how the Future Foundation works. So if you look at their website, there's lots of different entities here. And so you have the Dubai Future Academy, which is really good online learning, the Museum of the Future, Area 2071, the Dubai Future Accelerators. So I know every twice a year, Faisal, correct, there's cohorts with specific challenges. So if you keep an eye on their social media channels or keep an eye on their website, I think cohort 9 is the next one. You'll see the Dubai Police Authority, the Dubai Health Authority with a specific challenge. It's very easy to register on the website. It's a very fair process. And I know internally you have a system to select companies and you go on an interview process. But just to go back to the center here, like I maybe didn't touch on it properly. For us as an Irish company, there's accelerators all over the world. Like a lot of these accelerator programs is how to write a business plan, how to pitch. It's wishy-washy. You're not going to scale internationally. As I said, when we come in this program, we were engulfed right in with the Dubai Health Authority to address the challenge that had set forth for the next 5 to 10 years. That's really important for a company that wants to scale, that you're going to actually do a proof of concept and you get your technology trialed and tested. And since we've stayed in the center, and like, as I said, downstairs in Area 2071, it's a fantastic ecosystem, but I also work upstairs here because there's so many meeting rooms. And we've been brought into projects like the World Economic Forum downstairs run by Miriam, running a precision medicine program or a blockchain program. You don't believe the high-level government people that actually come in here. We were introduced 2 years ago or 3 years ago to the Vice President of China come in here. We had our own Irish delegation here. I was very proud to stand in front of my own country politician saying, you know, we got accepted on this program. And I suppose where we're located in the city as well, we're right beside the hotel tower where a lot of conferences are, right beside the trade center. So on the 21st of this month, Arab Health is going to be on. It's a big healthcare conference. For me to be able to bring up some of the hospital clinicians to Emirates Towers, to have meeting rooms, that's so important. And you're bringing people really prestigious building with lots of restaurants and lots of breakout areas. Look, all I would say is keep an eye on the website. You know, I think as Faisal said, Area 2071, there's an app you can download and people's details are on it from their WhatsApp to their LinkedIn. You'll find me on LinkedIn, just reach out to me and if I can help, I will.
I think one I'd like to add to what PJ said is that even the alumni network that we have or the residents, I'm sure most of them would be more than happy to also support you in your journey. So that is also a possibility. Now, if I can remember your questions as well, you were asking about basically the difference between DFF and Area 2071. Dubai Future Foundation is the semi-government entity that oversees all of these initiatives, Area 2071, the accelerator, the labs, 10X, and all of the other initiatives. So we are a government entity that basically, executes or strategizes around the future of Dubai, and we have multiple initiatives under that. Area 2071 is basically one of the initiatives that Dubai Future Foundation oversees, and it's basically the startup and talent ecosystem of Dubai. Okay, so the accelerators in Area 2071. The Dubai Future Accelerators is a challenge-led program. So it's not like your typical accelerator, which is, for example, the Techstars or the 500 startups or Plug and Play and Startup Bootcamp. It's not an open intake. It's based off of challenges. So, for example, we run 2 cohorts per year. We've just concluded cohort 8 back in April, where we had 5 entities. They are RTA, DIWA, DHA, and others. Force their challenges to us. So they would be, for example, looking into a challenge. If I take DIWA, for example, challenge was about aggregating data in their internal channels and how to really visualize that. So it's purely challenge-led. It's equity, so we don't take any equity in your startup, but we don't do funding as well. So it's mainly about giving you the opportunity to work with government entities in a particular problem to execute a pilot. So that's the Dubai Future Accelerators. Now, Area 2071 it's a space that you can be part of as a resident startup, and then you have access to all of the networks and the facilities which PJ also mentioned. So all of these meeting rooms, you'll have access to the larger network that we have, private sector entities, partners, government, talent, experts in the field, even like our other initiatives. Like if your startup is around robotics, then connections to Dubai Future Labs would be very important to you. So that's basically the difference. So Area 2071, you can be part anytime. DFA, you'd have to select a challenge that suits your startup and then apply for it. So like PJ said, keep an eye on our social media platforms and our programs platform to see kind of like the upcoming challenges for DFA. And then you also asked about how can you apply to 71 and what's the process is, correct? So the process normally goes is that you apply through a channel that we have, and our team will collect the information from you. We do kind of like a filtration, and within you would be getting a request to come and pitch your startup. So we have an internal team with experts as well from you to view your pitch, to understand if it's kind of like which stage you are at. And importantly, we try to understand if Area 2071 would be a fit for you. So we don't work with startups that we won't believe we will support or we were able to support. So that's a very important point to keep in mind. I'm not saying we have 100% intake rate, not at all. We've told some startups that this is not the right time, that we don't believe Area 2071 will help you at this stage, but please feel free to reapply within 6 months or within achieving a certain zone, and we can support you otherwise. So kind of like the process of Area 2071 and how you apply. In terms of licensing, if you are part of Area 2071, we can also support you set up the license with our partners in 5 and the likes. Does that answer your question? Please. Thank you.
Faisal, I have a question for Puneet. So how do you work with early stage companies and individual talent? And how are the challenges that you solve with Area 2071 different from the ones you solved in other innovation hubs? So that's one from the audience.
Yeah, please.
Yes. So if I were to understand the question correctly, it's about how do we work with early stage startups, right? And how does this differ, the experience overall differ versus other innovation systems? Okay, sure. So as I said, I lead this go-to-market disruption globally. So I interact with a host of, let's call them startup aggregators and accelerators. I think the point has already been mentioned by the startup groups on the panel. So I'm answering the last part of the question first. It's the whole ecosystem, right? Because what you have here is uh, is selected and shortlisted startups can work from here. They can interact with different labs. They can interact with different government entities, because the hand-holding process from shortlisting to final selection is common around the world. But I think what really separates here is the government, private sector, and startup trifecta, and the ecosystem which has been put in place physically as well as virtually with the various systems mentioned here. And I think there's a good mentorship program as well, and we were just chatting about that. So that's what's different. Now, how does P&G work with anybody who has been shortlisted? As I was mentioning, I can take the example of what we did with the microfinance challenge. Okay, so our challenge now, Procter and Gamble in our region, we are in FMCG, right? Our product has to be present in every store, every mom and pop outlet. We have 10 million mom and pop outlets. We cover 4 million. So of the 4 million we cover, the retailers don't have access to credit. So how can we ensure that these retailers are enabled with microfinance? That was a broader business question. Anyways, I just wanted to give you a bit of context. And we floated it out in the startup system on how can we get them as part of the financial mainstream in a manner which is compliant and all of that. And it's a big business building idea for us. So that was the business brief from our side. Then the Area 2071 team took over. Okay, they translated it into a format and floated it onto the platform, and then they shortlisted companies basis the criteria which we had selected. So we were completely agnostic about the scale and the size and the status of the company. We were looking at good ideas. That's what we were interested in. And from I don't know how many startups Gareth and his team got, but they exposed us to around 20 of them. We looked at their ideas, then we shortlisted around 8 to 10 odd for final interviews, and then we interviewed them multiple rounds, finally selected 4 and did active pilots with them. So, and the pilots are now getting qualified, and that's what I mentioned around the world. So I think that's how we work with the startups, and then they are part of our project, right? And if the project gets successful, multiple options are possible, depending on how successful it is. So that's how we do. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Puneet. Any other questions that we have from audience, from virtual?
I think a question for the startups, maybe Ignacio or Sari can answer this. Were there any challenges that you faced during your journey? And also maybe what are the supports that you got from the ecosystem player during that journey?
I think one of the biggest challenges that we face with the setup of the entity here, it has improved a lot with the last years, but at the beginning was really challenging for us to actually move from this journey with the FA to actually set up an entity and start hiring people. And we got a lot of support there. We also had a bit of a challenge to navigate some of the way the business is done in this part of the world that is slightly different to Europe, and we also got a lot of support there. And I mean, the team is and was, I say was because the team that was in Core 2 is different, but everyone that has been involved in Dubai Future has been amazing, to the level that I actually got into a little bit of an issue with customs when we were part of the FA, because we didn't have this setup here, but we were already engaging in contracts and doing demos and inventories, and then we needed to fly in to ship in. Your system is like a huge scale, and is the system with a camera. It's not something that people just recognize as normal. So on one of the days, I got kind of like stuck at customs, and I was interviewed by a police officer asking me why we'll have shipped like 4 or 5 units, and like why are we doing with this? And I was really new here, right? I was really scared. I was like, oh my God, what's happening? And I called, I was trying to explain that we're part of DFA, but obviously the gentleman didn't know what I was talking about. And I called, I think it was Abdallah at the time. And he told me like, you have a picture of your system with His Royal Highness. Just show it to him and explain what's happening. And then I managed to do that. It's a little bit of a funny story. I got it from the newspaper that we had like an interview that we demo, and they get us out of that pickle, and then they help us get the setup quickly to make sure that everything was done. I just wanted to say with that it goes to that level. The support that we have was at the level that whatever issue that we encounter, minimum to maximum, the Dubai Future team was there for us.
So the main challenge in terms of a trade license and establishing the firm here, it was not that the challenge. What we had more as a challenge as a startup which are planning to digitalize the dental industry is being a niche B2B new thing in the industry, trying to convince suppliers and trying to convince clinics and doctors to shift from the traditional way of procuring those products to a phone application where it's more convenient. That was the main challenge of Letpic. Where we've got support in is, let's say, to have the flagship from DFF plus 2071 something toothpick, because it's a new thing. It means the introduction which we have done through 2071 to DHA to the more to the as well complete dental associations, having this support from here, convincing them, the suppliers, plus the complete set of clinics to go through toothpick. That was the challenge / the solution. So to be niche and to start something new without having someone to believe in you / to have someone like here to believe that this would be the right approach to completely digitalize the industry. That was a support which we needed and which we got, and that's why we captured the suppliers, and we are doing great now.